Sambience here, and I'd like to show you a really nice plugin that Kompose Audio has just released, and you can see it here. It's called the Lake, and Kompose Audio has lots and lots of plugins that they have for the soundbox. And in fact, I'll actually show you a couple of these. These are some of the soundbox packs, and I have quite a few of these that are just really handy for whatever type of music you're creating. Now, for me, I like to make ambient music, new age or spa music, or whatever you want to call it. And so a lot of these are very handy, and so I have quite a few of these. In fact, Higgy is one of the latest ones I picked up. And Moondrift also is also a new one that I've also picked up. But the new thing that they've just put out here is called a Lake. And what makes this one a little unusual is that it uses a different player. It's not made for the soundbox. It's made for the Raizes Player. And I'll step right over here to the other website here, which is the ZAK people. And this is where you can find the Raizes Player. Now, originally, if you wanted the Raizes Player, you had to buy a plugin first, and but that has recently changed. So now you can actually download the player first before you go ahead and get the plugins that they use for that. So you could install this first, then go back over the Kompose Audio and get whatever, especially the Lake is the one that I'm talking about right now. So that's kind of nice. And I want to show you, this is kind of what it looks like. You first you make an account with the ZAK people, and then you get your product, which is the Raizes Player, and then this will come up. When you first install it, it's going to ask you, where do you want to put your samples? This is where I actually screwed up the first time. I had made a folder, and then when I went ahead, I guess it defaulted to something else, and it saved them there, and then it anyway, I lost my samples, and so I found them, and I had to put them back where I needed to be, and everything was fine. But at any rate, you might want to assign it to a folder first. You might pick a default, I actually don't remember. But then you browse for the instruments, and these are the ones, and eventually I'll show you the ones that you currently have. All right. And so there's that. They also have a documentation page, so it's not as detailed as I would like it to be, but it's pretty good. So there's one here online that you can just kind of select this way. But there's also a PDF file, which I also have right here. And you can see what I mean. Like I was looking at the arpeggiators here, and it tells you, like, this is what it is. But what does it do when you do this effect, or what does it do when you change that setting? And some of the things are just kind of figured out on your own, which is fine too. Okay, so, but there is that too, that you can download the PDF file, so that's pretty handy. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. So I have my Logic Pro put up here, and I actually have some of my soundbox sounds right here. So I have like these three. Moondrift is actually the newest one, and but we're here to check out the Lake. And so over here on the side, here's the Raizes Player, and then in order to load that again in your Logic Pro, you want to click on this guy, move down to your AU instruments, and then choose the one that you need. So here's my ZAK Sound, and so there's my Raizes Player, is what I want. So I've got that all set up. Okay, so I don't have anything laid down here, but let's go ahead and bring up the Raizes Player and kind of walk you through what's going on here. So this is the main screen. It's right here, and it's actually pretty nice main screen here. And over here on the side, this is where we have our soundscapes, and we have our paths, and so we have several soundscapes to choose from. These are all presets, and what's really nice is if you like a particular preset and you decide I want to change the envelope a little bit, or I want to add some LFOs to it and modify a little bit, you can go ahead and add and save it as a new preset. If you happen to have a favorite, then like if you really like this Afterglow, you can just hit this little star here, and that'll keep all your favorites together too. So I'm going to select Afterglow, and you can see it kind of loading up in there. And we'll just close this down. All right. And so there it is. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to let you hear this, and I'm just going to hold one note and watch how this develops. I'm going to hold down, say, the middle A. Sense how rich this sound is and how it just kind of unfolds, and you're not doing anything. It's almost a crime how easy it is to create this kind of ambient sound. And then what I want to show you are these three controls here on the very top. So while you're having a sound, you can then change how it sounds. So we have this first one here called Edge, and it actually puts a slight edge to the sound, but I think my favorite here is Glow, which is in the center. And these are some of the settings here. And the last one, just it doesn't have quite as much of effects, called Depth. And so what we're actually going to do is going to hold that same note down. In fact, maybe I'll do an octave, and then we'll make some adjustments. So here are your sliders, and you can use your mouse, but it's actually easier to use your MIDI controllers. And I'll show you how to assign them. So I've got, what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to load up my Sam's player here. It says that it's loaded. It's not, because if I load this up, okay, then my slider should be working just fine. Okay, so it's just kind of weird. You would think just by bringing up my project I'll be okay. And so I do have I have these assigned to my MIDI controller, and I also, if I bring this up, I'll show you, like here. I have a couple knobs here that I've got set, so I can adjust them right from my keyboard, which is super handy. All right, so enough of that. Let's go ahead and just do, I don't know, D and D, I guess. And once we've gotten up to this envelope, we can go ahead and make some adjustments just with these three global controllers here. And here's Glow. It's probably my favorite global preset here. And this third one here is a little more subtle. So if you want to get behind the sound and find out what's actually happening here are your settings up here. So again, I'm just looking at Afterglow, and here are my layers. So in here I have my three samples that are working together, sample 1, 2, and 3. You see a different sound here. This is called Soundscape number 5 for sample 3, and Soundscape 2 for sample 2, and Soundscape 1. And then here's the envelope, so you can see the attack, decay, sustain, and release on this one. So if you want it to come in a little faster, then obviously you would tweak the attack on that. And if you want the release to be much more faster, or you want to be much slower, then you can adjust these here, right? So that's how you can adjust these. So you'll actually see this in action when I'm holding down. Let me just do like a DA here or something, okay? And so you can see how it's building. So we're still working on the attack in this portion here. And once it gets up to the decay, it will just stay there on sustain until I let go of the keys. And then once I let go of the keys, then it's going to work on the release section. So I just let go. You can see it just kind of doing its thing. So that's how the sound is being shaped as far as how the waveform is being played in, played out. And there are effects applied, and there you can add up to 6 for every single layer. So there's lots and lots of effects that you can add. You can play with the equalization, and I was just kind of messing with these the other day, and you can add those in. This is kind of interesting, the arpeggiator here, and again, this is just for sample 1, and you can, it actually changes the sound on how it behaves when it loads in. So again, I'm just going to do the DA. Remember how it sounded before. It's not going to be, let me turn it on here. That would probably be the smart thing to do, right? Okay. This is the current speed, which is pretty quick. And notice that we have 8 steps. And it's only jumping 1 at a time. And you can tell it to jump 2 at a time, 4 at a time. And then of course it all depends on how many steps you have, right? The next tab is the mini tab, and what's kind of unusual with the Raizes Player is if you're running this as a standalone, you're not running this as part of your DAW system, like in my Logic Pro, it'll actually show your system that you have in your but for whatever reason, because I'm running it as part of Logic Pro, it doesn't come up, it doesn't show me what my MIDI controller is. And over here on this side is a MIDI generator, which is kind of weird. But as you play this, it will play these chords and you can generate random ones here. Of course, I have to choose, what I want to do. So let's say I want to come up with a major, and the type of chord is going to be a 7th, and I'll generate one, and then it will just play through those. And as you can sort of hear, it sounds like crap. And here's something that I'm not real crazy about is when you come back here, it's going to show you the notes that were played. And so even though you're not even playing them anymore, it's kind of stuck with it. So it's going to show me new notes, of course, right? But, so this MIDI thing is a little strange. I'm not sure why it sticks with that, even if I have that there. So maybe there's a way to turn that off or something, but so I don't want to save that file. I certainly don't want any of that. Okay. The next tab over is your modulation, so you can do LFOs. So if you want to oscillate the sound, change the frequency, change the speed, whatever, that's where that is. And of course you have your master out. So right now we have these 3. We have the gate, compressor, and the limiter. And these are all currently turned off, but if you want to add these here, you simply just click on it and turn them on. All right. So that's a quick look at the controls here. All right, there's so many of these presets that we can sample through, and there's a really good video, which I'll go back to here in a moment after we finish this little section. There's a fellow there that'll walk you through several of these presets, and they're certainly worth a listen to. But in order to go from one preset to the next, you don't have to click on this now. You can just toggle to the next one. So I'm going to load in this next one, Enchanted Water, which is another lovely sound, and it actually sounds like the lake. I mean, you're sitting at the lake and you're feeling totally relaxed, and I'm just going to hold down, I'll do another DA here. I mean, how rich is that? I just love the way this builds. Of course, you can change the envelope if you need it to be faster or slower, coming in and coming out. All right. Now, something that's kind of driving me crazy with the Raizes Player is I have set some keyboard controllers in order to handle these global settings, right? So, but if I move my sliders on my keyboard, no control. So I'm going to have to assign these and then resave my player so it remembers them the next time. So how does that work? Well, we want to go back here and we'll just do a right click or 2-finger click, and I'm going to learn this one again. Alright, so I'm going to slide my slider on that one, and that one's done. And then I'll do this for the second one. And so I'll just do that. And if you happen to know the number that you want, then you can choose it that way, but it beats me if I know what number it is. Okay. Do I want to go in here and change all the, and then map these? I certainly could, but just for the sake of time, let's just skip that. Alright, so now I've got these mapped, right? Alright, well I better save my changes, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to save as, alright, and go find my thing, Sam's Player, save, and replace it. Okay, so now hopefully we're good to go. Alright, so let's take a listen to the lake. Alright, so it's just awesome, and now I have my controller so we can tweak with it as we do our thing here. Now, well, we ought to check out the pads. All right, so there's a couple pads here. And I don't know, I haven't even listened to all of these yet, but let's just try this Glimmer. All right, so we got that loaded in. And we can just stay on this page and just choose a note. I'll just, put this at A again. Let's see what yellow sounds like. Lake of Echoes. I think these guys had fun when they were naming these presets. We'll drop down to a D. Maybe up to a G. And then a C. That's lovely. Okay, let's start with A again here. So again, so many to choose from. It's kind of crazy, right? So let's go back to soundscapes, and I'll just go back to Afterglow, one of my favorites here. So while that's doing its thing, I want to show you back here. The last thing I want to show you is over here in Kompose Audio. All right. The nice thing about whatever sound plugin that they have, they give you a sample, at least one. In this case, they just have one that you can just listen to give a sense of what it sounds like. But over here, in this case, they actually have this fellow. He's on YouTube here, and he'll walk you through lots and lots of these sounds. You could tell he was just having a blast playing these keys. So it's certainly something to check out. I'll leave some links in my description there. So if you're interested in some of the work that I do, I obviously create some of my own ambient pieces. Very small artist, just a keyboard and a computer, and that's pretty much all I have. And I also make music videos. I used to be in the TV business, and so I'm familiar with video editing and so forth. And so if you want to check out some music videos of my stuff, I'll leave a link for that too. So thanks for watching, guys. Sorry it's so long, but there's a lot to check out. So if you're into soft ambient sounds here, this is certainly a new one from Kompose Audio you'll want to check out.